So Flattering Bravo here goes legal on August 8th, which is very exciting because it means he's going to be fair game for Skirmish Season 12. So today, let's look at him and Blitz first as a full-tuned build, and then we'll talk budget options for backfills, just in case you don't have everything quite ready to go. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey there, my flesh and blood friends. Welcome back to the channel, and thanks for tuning in today. Talking Flattering Bravo, the brand new Bravo out of Demo Deck and soon to be Smash Palace and all that good stuff. Now, it was confirmed on Twitter last week that he will be legal on August 8th, concurrent with the release of the Demo Deck Bravo product, which is really, really cool. See, I was personally unsure if he would be linked to that or to the Smash Palace release, given the history of the Learn to Play Aria not counting as a product for legality purposes. Now, apparently that was a silly question, though, so you all do have my apologies. But regardless, he is indeed legal this week. So today I want to talk him. We're going to start with kind of a full-out Blitz deck, really looking forward to what we may be bringing, or what folks may be bringing, as the case may be, to Skirmish Season 12. But then I want to do kind of a step back and look at kind of the more expensive cards in the deck and talk some swap-ins if we are able to find an equivalent card, because in many cases we can't. Now, before I throw the deck list up, let's just make sure we understand what we're trying to do here with Bravo. Okay, so his ability is for 2, tap him, turn a face-down card in your arsenal face up, and if it has Crush, it gets +2 and dominate this turn. That is extremely, you can just read that and say that is extremely strong, right? The potential of putting an extra +2 and dominate onto a crippling Crush, that is pretty gross, right? Now, there's some resource constraints and math problems, such as the fact that ideally this is going to work best off of a 4, right? Taking it to 6 when you start looking at your 7s. Well, actually, I guess on a crippling Crush, so that's just 3 blues, but you better make sure you draw them because you got to put it in Arsenal. So there's some very interesting things going on with this, and my attempt at the deck is really trying to set us up for a lot of consistency and then one big smackdown. And when I say one big smackdown, I'm not talking OTK here, right? But I am talking consistency in getting this done. Okay, so what you see now is DC Blitz's Flattering Bravo. Now, I mentioned that we have to be able to do a setup, and that is why, as much as I would like to play an Othos here, especially for like a Wizard matchup or something, we're on Titan's Fist, because having the Buckler to be able to throw at someone if they come at a CNC or something like that, and we know that there's maybe a pummel out there, whatever it may be, because we can't lose the card in our arsenal, right? That is his, well, that's his pretty darn big weakness for him, okay? So we're on Providence, we're on Gauntlets, and then we're on Tectonic Plating, of course, with Civic Steps, right? So you got a fridge, you got a pretty big fridge, you have a big fridge and then a smaller fridge on the second time around, plenty of armor to take that hit, but we're going to have to take that hit. Okay, now, there are a ton of Crush cards you can go out and choose. So this is not just like go, Google or February as it may be, all the Crush cards. I do want to talk through why I chose the ones that I chose, because I think a couple of them might not make super sense. Cartilage Crush, though, hopefully is pretty self-explanatory. I know it's a 3, and it's not a 4, as we were talking about, so I guess we're leaving one on the table. But this one threatens a Frostbite, right? An effective Frostbite. I think this one's pretty good for throwing down some of the aggressive, or I should say, trying to trip up some of the aggressive decks. A lot of time they run very low profile. They can't afford the extra resource. And, they don't always block so good, right? I'm talking like a Phi or a Syndra or an Aurora or someone like that really struggles into this card, and I think it's a good choice. I'll skip ahead here. Crush the Weak is also a 3/7 in that same vein. I've specifically chosen this because I do believe we're going to see a lot of Aracne ASC this upcoming Skirmish season. He's, Slippy, as they're calling him. I still think they should call him ASC, but Slippy, as they're calling him, is doing quite well, as you're all aware, in CC. I believe you're going to get a lot of Cascade down for that, because he can basically, they Aracne ASC can functionally play the same. I do think there's, some changes you need to make, and we'll talk about that next week when we do some deck techs. But this card, to that point, right, an assassin does not want to let this hit, right? Now, sure, assassins block pretty good, especially ASC, you can block 2 and then still come at you for 2. But you block 3s as well and just get those reacts out and stuff like that. This one will be okay, but they're going to have to block this. They can't let this one land, right? They're going to make them cover 2 cards. Okay. Now, I have Crash and Bash in here. Brand new card out of Mastery Pack Guardian. When this defends, reveal a card with Crush from your hand. You don't have to do anything with it. You just have to reveal it. And if you do, create a Seismic Surge. That's going to help quite a bit if you're trying to do like a 5 or something like that. Okay. Now here we have a Crippling Crush. So, just a casual 3 blues needed in hand to make it work. Plus, well, you can't block with any of them. But coming in for 13 Dominate and on hit, they lose 2 cards. Bro. Yes. Now we are on red-blue Debilitate because of the -2. That's very, very, very good. Just generally universal to be able to just come in and cancel a 2. In many cases, in Blitz, that's effectively their first attack. Well, it's not, because there's 4. I mean, they might still be able to come for 1 or 2. But that's really good. Really good. We then have Mangle. So I know this is the Jarl card, right? But this one still can blow up equipment. And they got to be careful with the dynamos and all that, right? So, because Quickie P's out there, right? So I'm not going to say this is a tech just for her. But it is there. And, there's actually a play. I don't have the card in here, right? But the one where you can put a -1 counter on, it's Buckling Blow. Buckling Blow. Oh, does that work for... Yeah, it should work for Great Gravy's Compass. That should work for that. I don't know that we're going to see a ton of Gravy Bones. But that's actually... Yeah, it's Buckling Blow, right? So going Buckling Blow red is actually not horrible. But either way, you've got it in blue. So you could do the thing where you put 1 and it says... Yeah, you could totally do it. You could totally do it and blow it up with Mangle. Totally work. All right. Pummel red. I mean, why not? Sink Below red. And then Spinal Crush. I mean, now we're just in bread and butter territory. Starstruck falls under the same argument as Crippling Crush, except obviously it works different. They would just kind of, in most cases, not be able to attack you. I suppose if they're big somebody, they could, but that's pretty good. And then we go into the blue choices. So again, this is kind of, for the most part, bread and butter with a couple exceptions we'll talk about. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of the blue poppers. Okay. Now we're a little thin on, because of debilitate up there. Apologies. I knew I had more than that, so I was stuttering. Now, where we go in after this, so we have Macho Grande. That's your Dominate closer. And I have Rouse the Ancients. This card is absolutely absurd. And again, because we're leaning into the bigger crush, we're not going to have too difficult of a time, in my opinion, making this work. Like, this card's absurd. The fact that you can pitch stack it with a bunch of other big blues. Granted, you have to make sure it's not 2 6s, because, that's how math works. You got to have something else in there to make it work. But man, even that just into a Titan's Fist is freaking disgusting. Now, I am doing the Visage Showtime thing, because Visage is, again, a blue that is a 3 cost, because it's X3. Right? So it's a blue that has 3, it's blocks 3. Even if you don't get it when you need to, so be it. It's still a decent card. Sure, it's not a popper, but it can do the thing where you tutor for Showtime, and then you go tutor, put it in, and that's exactly what we want to do, because then you can flip it up, and then you'll be able to draw a card and feed. I mean, right? That's pretty gross. And then we have Terra Sunder, right? With not having a Nothos, it is pretty important that you pitch stack the Terra Sunders and wait for them to be out of armor so that it can, even if you have to just fist it, right? That's a 3-card hand for a 5 Dominate, but it costs them the cards. So in most cases, you're going to want to wait, pitch stack it, make sure that they've burned their cards. Okay, now moving into the sideboard choices. Some of this may seem a little weird, but stick with me. So we are on only AB3. It's not uncommon to go AB4 or something, but with Blitz, we need the sideboard space. Now, I'm not on Arcane Polarity. The reason I'm not is because we have an S ton of blues. We are on 20 blues in this deck. I feel it's better to have Sigil of Solace, which gives us, it's a more purposeful card against wider set of matchups. That's the take here. Okay. I do have Rolling Fisher. This one, I don't know. I need to do something against Florian. This is the test. But it's going to be hard because we're not like doing heaves and stuff like that. So this one's going to be tough. I admit that. But I wanted something to try and get at Florian. If you have a better idea, let me know in the comments. We got to do something against Rune Chant Stack Florian. Hopefully we can just blow through him with Dominate so he can't use all those D-reacts, but I don't know. We got to do something there. Okay. All right. So that is the deck. Now the list is below. Now, as I promised, what I want to do is go look at the deck. So you see that the deck is $330 net price. And that's because we have, which isn't too bad in the grand scheme of Flesh and Blood, but it's $330. So let's go ahead over and look at pricing. And let's kind of go down from the top. And I've got my notes here to make sure I get everything right. So if we go down from the top, we see Crown of Providence for $123. Absolutely phenomenal card, but there are plenty of options, right? Even at the very least, Helm of Ison's Peak gives you Battle Worn 1, and it can let you get super smart if you get some weird situation, okay? So that saves you, $120 right out of the gate, over a third of the price of the deck out of the gate. Next, Gauntlets of Iron Will. So Gauntlets of Iron Will is extremely good because of what it does from the upside potential. But we can absolutely, remember Crater Fist? Crater Fist was, used to be like a $30, $40 card because it was, it got replaced by this one, and it is now a $2 card. Go get yourself a Crater Fist for $2. If you don't want to pay $40, which is perfectly reasonable, Crater Fist for $2. And if you don't even want to do that, there are plenty of other options out there, okay? Now, going back down, we have Tectonic Plating for roughly $39. Tech Plating, there's plenty of options there. Old Knocker, or just go get yourself a $2 or a Thor Bounty. Same idea as the Crater Fist, okay? Now, moving down, we do see that Spinal Crush is $5. So, I think you get this card. I just think you do. I don't think you're ever going to be sad that you bought it because you're always going to have it for your Guardians. I think that's what you should just do. Moving down to Imposing Visage for $12. This one can totally go. You have any number of choices of blue cards with 6 attack. There are any number of them. There's Thunderquake, Blue Disable, there's Clash of Mountains, there's Clash of Mountains was the new one from the new set. But you have no shortage of great options to just make all it needs to be is blue, greater than or 3 cost or greater, and defend 3. And ideally be a popper. You go choose what you need to choose, and it'll work. Rouse the Ancients, exact same argument. If you don't want to play this card, no big deal. You could, by the way, if you were worried about like the Gravy Bones and stuff, which also this helps with, you could very well just go Zealous Belting. Common, you could even do a red if you don't, and to be fair, if you pull out Rouse and Imposing Visage, maybe you don't need quite as many blues. You could try that going, at the very least here, for a 1-to-1 pitch swap, you could go blue belting, but you could also just go red belting. Red belting works quite well, and again, you've got more of your blue 6s in there to help with that. Very, very, very good card. Okay, so those alone, right? If you go look, and then, Terra Sunder being $7 card, again, you can do the thing where you just put in any other legitimate blue. That's perfectly fine. I also don't think you're going to regret getting Terra Sunders for $7. I get it. $14 is a lot when you look at it raw. But if you're trying to do this, I think a Spinal Crush, I think Terra Sunder, I think those are worth your investments. I think those are the ones you go for first. There's definite play arounds for the rest of them, especially the $120 card. And all of a sudden, you're looking at an 80. Well, let's do the quick math. So that's 120. Let's just call that 170. You've got 210. You can see out of the gate, we're already getting down to like $100 deck, right? Which is a lot more manageable for what folks would be thinking. Because I do think you want to go with the cards we said. So anyway, that's the proposal for fixes on this. If you're not out of the gate, I don't think obviously the armor matters for the point of being able to take a hit. But it's not going to matter necessarily $200 worth if it's going to be the difference of you playing or not. So anyway, have some fun with it. Get some iterations on it. Learn and grow on it. And if nothing else, my friends, go Commando.